and welcome to Tyra Mini Reads, Reviews, Discusses, Monologues about everything and anything, and that's on period. Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. So today, I wanted to talk about books that have dragons in it, and kind of like how the magic of the dragons work. So we do have like a couple of books. Like they're pretty popular books, like Kristen Paolini's books, and let me say like Lord of the Rings. We have Smaug in there. So we do have like some really good fantasy books that have dragons in it, and that has kind of like set the foundation for books that you see out now that are all kind of talking about dragons. So I just wanted to touch on a couple of books that I've read that I really liked. The stories. Now, there's a couple of caveats. Some books will just say, oh, they have dragons in their title, or there's dragons in the story, but it's not really, like explicitly like there. So I'm going to kind of start from those ones and kind of work my way down to like the ones that really probably have the most dragon action in the stories. So let's get started. So the first book that has dragons, but it's not like the backdrop of the story, will be Song of Silver and Flame Like Night. In here, there is magics, and one of the magical thing or gods is like a dragon, but it's not the back. It's not the foundation. It's not really like mentioned in the book. Well, maybe in the book too, right? But it's not like you really see the dragon a lot. You just kind of hear snatches of it, and then that's really it. Not like that, but it's not the forefront of the story. The forefront of the story is the two people that are in the books, which is Lan and Zen, right? They have powers. Again, it's not the forefront of the story. It's kind of mentioned soft, that kind of thing. So that's Song of Silver. The next book that kind of has dragons, but I think, let me just bring it up, would be The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. And these covers are so deceptive because you go in there like, oh my god, we're getting dragons, like literally this is a dragon on the cover. But do you go into the story and see this dragon all the time? No. Because literally the gods are dead. And the gods are dragons. I mean, we do get Rickleafa later on. But she is, in this story, the dragon is a person who can actually change. It's actually a female, and her name is Lickreafa. Lickreafa can literally be a human being like me, and then she can actually like change into like a living breathing dragon. So we do get that, but that's really it. And she is waging a war against her siblings, one of whom is a rat, the other is a wolf, and there's another one that's an eagle, but they are all like shape-shifting human beings. So it doesn't really give you that, oh my god, dragons like you would get from like Smaug or like those kind of dragons. I mean, Lickreafa is really as wicked as that. So not magical, just more like, that's a person who can transform into a dragon. So, but on the other hand, this series is actually really interesting. This has to do with Vikings and stuff like that. So yeah, you can pick it up if you, like I said, that's how the dragon is in the book. So it's not like a Aragon kind of dragon. It's just like there's here be dragons. So the next book that I'm going to talk about that has kind of dragons, but maybe not so much, would be A Natural History of Dragons by Marie Brennan. In this book, we follow Lady Trent, which this book is written in memoir style. So from the get, we are listening to Lady Trent like writing her memoir. So this is in first person, and pretty much she's a explorer who has been fascinated by dragons from when she was pretty little. Dragons in this sense are like, they're like common animals, like you would think of like a dog. I mean, I don't mean that really bad, but I'm just saying like the people in these books don't really care too much about dragons. They're just like, they're menace, they kill us, they eat our sheep. Like, we don't care about dragons. I'm like, the shock? Like, excuse me? So dragons are not revered. There's no other magic than there's a dragon. That's it. I mean, obviously they have like their qualities, like maybe they breathe fire or ice or that kind of thing, but that's really it. So Lady Trent is an explorer who is going to different regions that have different dragons, and she is drawing the dragons and trying to, investigate the dragons and learn more. Because at the time when this book starts, the world doesn't really know a lot about the dragons. They just know that they're there and that's it. It does go on into three other books. I just read this. I don't think I'll be continuing on because, like I said, I thought I was gonna get like dragons and like that kind of things, but it's just really more political where Lady Trent has to fight over like the injustice of the fact that in that time period women are not specifically like allowed to go on expeditions, so it's a more like a societal slash political kind of backdrop where the dragons are just like an accompaniment. So not bad if you like exploring and all those kind of stuff, but yeah, not really a lot of dragons. The next one that I would mention will be The Rage of Dragons. So in The Rage of Dragons, this is a military war kind of book where in this world it's literally one race against the other. There's the people that live in the, let's say like it's an island or land, whatever, and there's the people that are coming, the invaders, pretty much. And so there's a lot of fighting in this book where the dragons are summoned. Like if you, there's different caste systems, and if you are of a high caste where you are like maybe at the highest or the top, you can actually summon a dragon, and the dragon can be summoned to aid in the battle, like to fight. But that's really it. We get the dragons, sparingly throughout the stories, but that's really it. It's not like they're just like a plot device. The story is more on the characters and the fighting and like, the struggles that they're going through, especially it being like a caste system where you have, a slave or a commoner kind of person that's trying to work his way up. And then you have the royalties. You also have the invading party. So it's more that and like a training school versus we don't really get the dragons. The name, I would say focus more on the rage because the book is really about rage, not really dragons. So, but it's a catchy title. I'll give it that, not bad. And this is actually one of my top favorite reads. I love this book. It's supposed to be a quintet. We only have 2 books out, so we're expecting the number 3 and 4. Maybe he gives us one. Who knows? Evan Winters, do your thing. But yeah. So the next book that talks about dragons, has dragons in a better or more capacity, would be Fireborne by Rosaria Munda. So this book is like a revolutionary kind of set backdrop where you follow 2 young adults, Annie and Lee. They're pretty young, like think teenagers, right? And the previous government has been overthrown, and then we have this new like regime, and there's a lot of debates in the trilogy about which regime was better, the old governance or the new governance, and you kind of see the 2 sides trying to make case for themselves. But the dragons come in where they have now, the new regime has now implemented something called dragon riders, where they have opened it. Before, only the royals or like the rich had opportunities to have dragons or boundary dragons, but now they have opened it to the general populace, and anybody that doesn't even have, without a noble birth can be a dragon rider. So we see Lee and Annie become dragon riders. They go through this school-ish where they are learning about the past regime and trying to be better future leaders for this country. The dragons in this books are more prevalent in the story, where you do see a lot of interactions with the dragon riders and their dragons, and they're super close, super connected to the dragons, but the dragons do not talk. They more have their quirks, and they have different ways, their body language, how they communicate with their riders. They are super in tune, right? But I think they can kind of feel emotions and stuff like that. But that's about the height of the dragons talking. And there's battles. Dragons are commanded to do, they're used to like fight wars, right? So it does have a lot of dragons, like more active roles with dragons. I really enjoyed reading this book, and then also there's a political background on the side of it. Not a lot of magic. That's really not a magical kind of book. It's more just like all the stuff I just explained. So I guess the next one that would be maybe like 5/5, all about dragons, would be Fort Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Now, in the books, there's three of them. We have a school called Basquiat, where you will be trained on different kind of topics, think like geography, history, that kind of stuff. And then at a certain point, or like a midpoint in your training, you are taken to something called like the Tression, where you will be selected by a dragon. So in this instance, the dragons are the ones that will choose their human, and the dragons actually talk. They can talk. They talk to their their dragon riders, and I think they actually can talk to the other like they can make themselves audible to other people. So the dragons actually have a huge deal in this book, where we find out that there's different breeds of dragons, and there's some that are more mysterious than others. And the war in this story is also really like humans versus humans, and also dragons versus griffins. So it's the dragons are actually fighting. They're invested in the fight because it actually affects their life is at stake. Because if a I think this is a common theme throughout the books, is if a dragon dies, the dragon rider dies, or if a dragon rider dies, the dragon, at least in this and Fireborne. The other ones, like I said, is just like a backdrop. But this one, yeah, the dragons are very invested because they want to protect their dragon riders, so that they don't die. So there's a lot of dragon talk in this, which I really enjoyed. I think this is one of my. I'm not really a romantic girly, but I really like this book. I especially like this book because of the dragon and the fact that she really leaned into that mystical part. Like, dragons are to be feared, they are to be respected, and there's a lot you can do with dragons that it's more than just the regular fire breathing dragons. And so you see the dragons, they mate, they connect with their humans. They actually have they have senses of humor. I mean, it's really nice to see. And you also meet dragons that are influenced by dragon riders that have nefarious mindsets. Like, if a dragon rider is a bad person, the dragon will kind of be a bad person. So it's really fascinating to read about the dragon lore in this book. So this would be like 5/5. Fireborne will be something like 4/5, and the rest are just kind of like, yeah, just dragon. I want to do honorable mentions for Night Rain, which Night Rain doesn't have a dragon, but it has griffins, which are like bird, lion kind of fused animals. And it's represented really well in the, I mean, this book is just so weird, so I'm not gonna, I think I talk about Night Rain in every video that I do, so I'm not gonna go too much in it, but just wanted to mention that alternatives to dragons, you do have griffins. We also have griffins in Crown of Feathers, which is a book that I rarely ever see people talk about, and I'm so bummed because Crown of Feathers is so interesting. It's like about, okay, it's about sisters. So not griffins, but like a phoenix rider kind of thing going on, where we have two sisters that are, in this like epic battle, and it's really, sad because sisters are supposed to love each other. So it's a really fun trilogy. Super young, but we kind of follow, you can see like the phoenix, but they ride the phoenix. So it's almost kind of like a griffin, not really, not dragons, but at least honorable mentions for those, because I think those are starting to get into, storytelling now. You do see some books that talk about griffins or, birds, and not always dragons. So yeah, those are some, books that have dragons. I just really wanted to talk about them that are not, the classics. But, some modern day books, when I say modern day, I mean books that are recent books, that, feature dragons in them. But yeah, let me know if you have any other recs that talk about dragons or any books that talk about dragons, if you liked or if you have read any of the books that I mentioned. But anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.